Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. I'm your host, Shannon Ables. And whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, or sitting down with a hot cup of tea or a cafe au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate. Before we begin, a word from a sponsor of today's episode. Have you ever had a Kind bar? You might have seen them in your local grocery store, coffee shop, or gym. Kind makes delicious, healthy snacks using whole ingredients you can recognize and pronounce. This holiday, treat everyone on your gift list to the Kind Cube. Filled with a variety of 20 tasty snack bars, the Kind Cube makes a perfect present for any snack lover, including you, made with delicious ingredients like nuts, fruit, and dark chocolate. My favorite. These bars are a gift that both your body and your taste buds will love to receive. You shouldn't have to choose between your health and taste when it comes to snacking. That's why both award-winning chefs and nutritionists love and recommend Kind bars. My personal favorite is the dark chocolate nuts and sea salt bar. Yum! Now, if you're curious about the Kind Cube, go to kindsnacks.com/Shannon for more details. That's kindsnacks.com/Shannon. Welcome to the 186th episode of the Simple Sophisticate. And happy holidays. We are into December and it is on. It has begun. Just this past weekend, I picked up our Christmas tree and decorated it. It's a very simple tree, as some of you may have seen on Instagram. And even though there's no snow in the air, or on the ground, I should say, it began to feel a little bit like the holidays. Yes, it was chillier out and I had my stocking cap on. I made my homemade hot chocolate and took that with me. And it just started to feel very subtly, very gently, as I like to say, as the snow actually did try to snow yesterday. It is gently feeling like the holiday season, and I kind of like the way that it's easing upon us. I hope it has arrived in a fashion that you are enjoying as well. And if not, perhaps today's episode will give you a realization of the control that you have and you may have forgotten about. So what is today's episode about? Well, it's all about letting go of self-imposed limitations. As I just mentioned, the holiday season is upon us, and I started thinking about all the different things that are expected. As well, we also just had the announcement of Harry and Meghan last week. And as one blogger that I follow, Man Repeller, said, cuffing season has been extended. But there's this often a background discussion or expectation of, being with someone or spending with someone or having to behave or do certain things. But oftentimes, and I would argue nearly all the time, each one of those is a self-imposed limitation we're putting on ourselves, which ultimately dampens the amazing experience we could have. So today we're going to talk about what indeed self-imposed limitations are, how they come to be, and how we can eradicate them, how we can rise above them, because we absolutely can. It's entirely within our control and it doesn't take any money. So, except for just a bit of your time today, if you want to listen. And as we know, time is valuable. So let's get into it. Actually, before I forget, this week's petit plaisir, because it's the holiday season, I have a new CD album that I think you may be interested in. And I will share some clips of the various songs on the album at the end of today's episode so you can get a taste to see if indeed it is an album you want to enjoy with the holidays. I know I do. All right, let's begin with a quote from Nikola Tesla. It is paradoxical, yet true, to say that the more we know, the more ignorant we become in the absolute sense. For it is only through enlightenment that we can become conscious of our limitations. Precisely one of the most gratifying results of intellectual evolution is the continuous opening up of new and greater prospects. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. How do we become enlightened? How do we become aware of our limitations How do we realize that we have set them? Those are hard questions to answer, but we can answer them. So let's get into this. Have you ever heard someone else, or maybe you've even said a few of these things that I'm about to share with you? Well, when you reach a certain age, things just start falling apart. Or, I'm 40, I should have had it all figured out by now. Or, I'll never be able to insert anything from touching your toes to being able to find real love, to earning a certain amount of money, or traveling around the world. Anything at all. Anything you've said or heard people say, I will never be able to. A year of quality continues today with this particular episode. As you may remember, back in January, episode 137, I began this month-by-month examination of how we can each improve the quality of our lives in a variety of different arenas, from our money to our clothing to our minds, and that's where this falls into. November was chosen to focus on self-imposed limitations and how to eradicate them. And while I am a few days into December and no longer November, if you'd like to take a look at the entire 12-month list, I have a link to the year of quality on today's show notes, the simplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 186. So we're going to talk about self-imposed limitations, and the perplexity with self-imposed limitations is that we don't believe we are setting them. We actually don't believe we have self-imposed limitations. We think the limitations that exist are real. And we think that reality is actually reality. Take, for example, the age limitation that I just recently shared. Many people sincerely believe that at a particular age or particular ages throughout our lives, certain things must happen, but they would be incorrect. It just so happens that you are at an age, or someone was at an age, when biologically, due to bad health or lack of attention to one's body or lack of understanding of how to better take care of one's body, combined with the genetics you were given from your parents, that at a particular age in someone you observed or in yourself, certain occurrences were observed or felt. The fact that it happened at that age is irrelevant to some degree, and shouldn't be imposed that everyone is going to have this happen when they hit this particular time in life. To continue to understand the level of perplexity when it comes to self-imposed limitations is anything you have control over, by definition, are self-imposed, and if they are, as we're going to talk about throughout this episode, things that are not based on the true reality, they are limitations. But so often, as I just described, we don't realize how much control we actually have. And we sadly toss it away and assume it is how things occur. Thus, anyone who is ignorant to, in this particular example, is still stuck in level 1 of consciousness. Now, what are these levels? Psychology today explains that there are 3 levels of consciousness. Number 1, the level of the senses, what we perceive with our eyes, our taste, our touch, our smell, so on and so forth. The second level is a level of awareness. And the third, the one you want to get to, is the level of conscious connection. Level 2 requires of an individual to be self-aware. This is not an easy step to get to. It has to be a conscious choice. It doesn't happen by accident. And in episode 143 of this podcast, I broke down in detail what self-awareness is, how to attain it, and the many benefits of doing so. So if you want to take a listen to that, I do definitely go break down that much more than I'm going to do right now. But defined succinctly, self-awareness is the act of, quote, creating connection to ourselves, questioning our expectations, ideas, and assumptions, and exploring our perceptions. And that's the definition given by psychology today. In other words, examining what we have accepted blindly, what the world has told us without our own examination of the information that was given, and discerning the difference between how we truly feel and why and what others have told us is the reason we feel the way we do. So it's something that takes time. It's something that has to be a choice and has to be done consciously. Once we have reached the second level of consciousness, which by the time you've understood and developed your self-awareness, that's where you are, the second level, we are able to see what is or isn't in our control. what truly is self-imposed and what is not. As well, we can determine why we are setting limitations. We are able to have a better understanding of our own emotions, detaching from them, stepping away from them for momentarily and examining them, being honest with ourselves and getting to the root of fears, our questions, and our doubts. Now, I talk about emotional intelligence in episode 140, which really dives into how to do what I was just talking about, examining how we feel, detaching ourselves, and asking those questions that are kind of frightening to step forward toward initially. Why am I fearful of this? What am I, doubtful of? And I will share a link to that episode on the show notes, because if that is something that you want to figure out how to do, that is a detailed post and episode to help you do that. Now, what you will discover once you reach the second stage of consciousness is that you have more in your life than you can control, that you most likely previously understood to be malleable as you wish it to be. From your thoughts, your decisions, your assumptions, your understanding of the world and how it functions, the world may look and feel anew to you at this moment. Such an aha moment is exhilarating. Then in the next breath, it can be perhaps seem daunting, because after all, you've realized that if you succeed, it is you who navigated to where you wished. But if you don't, then it is you who navigated to where you did not want to go. In other words, we are truly the navigator of our ship, which comes with an immense amount of responsibility. But once you wrap your head around the gift you have been given, you've given it to yourself, actually, you realize you have just set yourself free. Free from worries that you are not doing as you should, such as a particular career, having children, not having children, not being married, marrying the right person that your family approves of, voting a certain way, living a certain way, etc., etc., etc. As well, you let go of the worries and free yourself from the zeitgeist of generational mores, what your generation should be doing. People of your generation should know how to do this, and they should be doing this, and they should da-da-da-da. You also are free from the parochial limitations of how you spend your time. Well, if it's the weekend, you should be da-da-da-da. Or if it's Friday night, you should be da-da-da-da. Doesn't matter anymore. And the list goes on. You are free. Now it is up to you to do something which is authentic to you, and in so doing, you begin to enjoy the present moment. The reason you begin to savor and be fully present each day is because you begin to enjoy the life you are living. You are not hoping something will happen down the road. While yes, setting goals is good, it's the journey that you're creating that you want to enjoy. And so if you are enjoying how you are living in the everydays, the goal will eventually be reached. But it won't be a hope that when you reach that goal, your life will change. It will be, I enjoy my life now, and I'm striving and doing this, that, and the other, and I'm working towards things. But you're enjoying that present moment. It's your choice to pursue that goal, not a choice of the outside world saying, you should achieve this, you should achieve that. Also, you are not biding your time or hoping your desires will change, that somehow you will morph into what people will approve of, which prevents you from enjoying the right now moment. Why? Because if you don't think who you are right now is okay or is good enough or is worthy enough, you can't savor the gift that is you at this very moment. And you are a gift right now. Your ideas, your passions, your curiosities, even many of them that may not have been found, you haven't discovered them yet, are waiting for you to let go of the limitations, most of which you have self-imposed upon yourself. Let them go, let the limitations go, so that you can let these unique discoveries bloom and come to the surface so that you can enjoy them and revel in them, and the world gets an amazing gift. But you can only do that when you are present and aware. So passing step 1, stepping into stage 2 of consciousness. And when you do that, when you are able to step into the present moment, the change you seek begins to reveal itself. Gradually over time, that evolution will be significant, and this process is called conscious connection, the third level, the top level of consciousness. Now you are connecting to what is the truth after having stripped away what is not and freeing yourself to become your most authentic and magnificent, and thus giving the world an amazing gift so that it can shine as well. Long story short, self-imposed limitations will hold you back. But now that you know you most likely have at least one or two that you have accepted as, well, that's the world telling me I can't do it. The world says I can't do it. Once you realize that's not true and you need to re-examine why that particular limitation was set upon you, you set it upon yourself subconsciously though, you will be able to set yourself free and elevate your life. So that is how you get rid of self-imposed limitations. And that is why you should examine, because it ultimately will be an amazing thing you give yourself. All right, like I mentioned throughout this episode, I have a handful of posts or a couple of posts they're also episodes that you may be interested in, and I'll put those on the show notes, as well as I pulled a few other episodes that are in the same realm, how to live beyond labels, things like that, on the show notes. So visit the blog, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 186 to find all of those. And I will be right back with this week's Petit Plaisir. But first, a word from our sponsor. Beauty lovers, or if you happen to have a lover of tailored beauty products on your shopping list this holiday season, Birchbox is a beauty subscription service you will want to check out. Through December 25th, use the promo code Sophisticate to save 20% off all Birchbox gift subscriptions or a subscription for yourself. So be sure to check them out. Visit birchbox.com/sophisticate. And don't forget to use the promo code Sophisticate to save 20%. Welcome back. So this week's Petit Plaisir is a Christmas or holiday album from smooth jazz artist Dave Koz. Now, I like jazz. I sometimes like smooth jazz, and I've always been a fan of Dave Koz. I haven't listened to him for a long time, but when I noticed he had a new holiday album out, I wanted to pounce upon it because there's something about having holiday music in the background that is calming but also playful, and you can kind of put it on repeats and you never really get bored of it if you're working away and doing things, where it's at a party or a cocktail gathering or a soiree, anything at all. It's just great background holiday music. And as I was listening to this album, I was like, yep, this is the kind of album I would want in my house or in my classroom or at my next gathering for this time of year. It's just great go-to music that everyone will probably feel comfortable with. At the same time, it'll fill those gaps of conversation and be calming as well. So the album was released back in September, and it's called Dave Koz and Friends 20th Anniversary Christmas, and it's with Dave Koz, David Benoit, Rick Braun, and Peter White. And here is one of the songs that I really liked. So I'll Be Home for Christmas is on this album. A lot of classic tunes: Winter Wonderland, Joy to the Wonderful World, Feliz Navidad, Christmas Time is Here, and one of my favorite songs. Here's one more clip to listen to.
Troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles.
So as you can see, there are a few artists that are featured on these albums, and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas with Selena Albright is one of them. But there are 3 others that have features as well on this album of 11 songs. So I'll include a link to Dave Koz and Friends' 20th Anniversary Christmas, and you can check it out and listen to all the songs as well and see if it's something you may enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Petit Plaisir, where each week ideas are shared to make the everyday all the more enjoyable. Tune in at the end of each Monday's podcast where I'll recommend a book, a film, or a recipe. Anything that is a simple pleasure to satiate your sophisticated taste. Before we wrap up, I wanted to share 2 things with you. Number 1, I have a giveaway for you to enter. If you are a fan of illustrations that have to do with food and France, you're going to want to enter this giveaway. This is from the company that was formerly known as Lyra Press, and I actually have one of their prints framed in my kitchen of the seasonal food. It's all illustrated. It's a print. And for this particular giveaway, they're giving away a print that's titled The Anatomy of a French Meal. And it is a $39 value illustrated print that does exactly what it shares. It has 28 separate illustrations on this print, and you'll see an image of it on today's show notes. But to enter the giveaway, to win that, there is a link that you want to click, and it'll take you to the post for the giveaway. You need to enter by December 10th. That's when the winner will be announced. So if you want to give it to someone as a gift, it will arrive in time for you to do that, or it may just be for yourself. That's fantastic. If you are wanting one of these prints or one of their canvas totes that has these illustrations on it, you can use the promo code TSLL, all caps, to save 15%. So head to the show notes, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 186. You'll find the image that's going to be given away, the anatomy of a French meal. Click on that link. Enter the giveaway simply by leaving your name and comment and a way to contact you, and enter by December 10th. And then if you'd like to use the promo code, it'll all be there as well. All right, one more piece of business. Remember to mark your calendars for Friday, December 15th, because a new edition is coming to the Simply Luxurious Life, and I am so excited to share it with you. All right, thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful week, and happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, stop by the blog, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com, or pick up the book, now available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon, as well as in paperback, Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, A Modern Woman's Guide. To stay caught up on the most recent episodes of the podcast, blog posts, and to receive exclusive news as well as an extra dose of inspiration to start your weekend, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's weekly newsletter, which arrives in your inbox each Friday morning to enjoy with a hot cup of tea or a hot cup of coffee. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Shannon Ables. À la prochaine.